Friday, December 7th. It doesn't feel like Friday to me because I wasn't really around on Mondays and Tuesdays. So this just kind of feels like Wednesday, which is never a great feeling. Oh, damn it. I didn't count the games again. 10 game slate. Here we go. Got to be better than whatever happened last night. That one, the random number generator was running pretty hard for Friday. Shout out Rudy Gobert. Adam, did you just love it yesterday? Your best slate ever?
Yeah, man, so much fun. It's why I love NBA DFS because you can spend all day working on it and none of it matters because nobody knows what the hell is going to happen.
I told you guys to play Ekpe Udo, and I can't. I'm trying to figure out other random names I can say, but no. You had under 20 fantasy points for Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. Congratulations. That was a take that you should have got out into the public.
Pretty sure Donovan Mitchell plus James Harden came to a lower score than what I use as a floor basis for James Harden.
Oh, yeah. That makes perfect sense. That's I didn't know that it was possible.
Yeah, no, I mean, I told you before the show that I fell asleep before that game ended, but I woke up and I saw a message about Harden having a floor game, and I was like, oh, that sucks. I had a lot of Harden. I guess he got like 40. And I opened up FanDuel today and was literally in shock.
Yeah, try half that.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. So amazing. I love the NBA. As usual, we are brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy is going to be the spot to go if you want to take prop bets and not have to worry about figuring out if James Harden's going to have 18 fantasy points. You can just simply take the under on his regular points and not sweat it. A lot easier to do. We will be going over some of our favorite props at the end of the show, so stick around. If you want to try out Thrive Fantasy, go to bit.ly/ThriveStrat, which I will drop in the chat as fast as I possibly can, but not as quickly as I'm saying this. I wasn't there. All right. Well, that's a comma. If you type bit.ly/ThriveStrat, you're not going to get there. I can promise you this. But you can get there on the second link. I think that's a period now. Anyway. Yeah, I'm excited to look at the props, mostly because I have more confidence in that than trying to figure out if anybody's going to be good in basketball any longer.
I mean, we have a Miami Heat versus Phoenix Suns game, so there should be a lot of confidence going into tonight.
We do. With Goran Dragic back for X amount of minutes, no Wayne Ellington, no Hassan Whiteside, just quite the grab bag.
Have they given us what X means, or is that just a guess?
I'm just saying, like, I don't assume that they're just going to let him rip.
Yeah, no, me neither.
So, I have not seen any minutes discussion yet.
I didn't know if there had been an actual quote like Eric Spoelstra wants to play Dragic 20 minutes so that Eric Spoelstra accidentally is going to play him 36.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything quite yet. What else do we got? NBA Strategy is the promo code, 7-day free trial. You can use it on any package that we have, including the packages that have Fantasy Cruncher, so you can test out everything we've got. Won't cost you a single cent. Promo code is on the screen. And then finally, we're doing a little Christmas giveaway. So please like the video and leave a comment. Any comment, just something positive. And you have the chance to win some goodies from us in this lovely holiday season. Oh, looks like we got coal in our stocking from last night.
Way to get off to a hot start there, Josh.
Yeah, I'm trying. I feel pretty good today. I'm pretty wide awake. Got a decent night's sleep for the first time in like 4 days. I didn't eat too much spicy chicken, so I didn't have poops in the middle of the night, so I'm good.
It's always good.
That was my yesterday. Too much?
A little bit.
Sharing too much?
too early in the morning for this.
Yeah. I've been up for 4 fucking hours. Oh, let's do it. The Charlotte Hornets taking on the Denver Nuggets. It's actually a really good basketball game, I guess. Battle of the Hernan Gomez, yeah. Yeah, Battle of the Hernan Gomez. 108.5 implied total for the Hornets. 109.5 for the Nugs. We'll start in the Charlotte side. Turn my hat around quick just for this particular game. Get that Hornets logo out. Represent. Team that I don't really care about, but fun colors nonetheless. Shout out Larry Johnson. Do we have ownership yet? We do not. All right. Kemba Walker, 8,700 on FanDuel, 8K on DK. The price is slowly but surely coming back down to normal Kemba Walker levels. And yet, I did not get any Kemba Walker on my first FanDuel crunch. What do you think about Kemba tonight?
There's plenty of upside at the price. I love that the price tag's finally coming back down. You don't want to read too much into his recent game logs because we still know the role he has in this offense.
Yeah.
And there's no reason that he can't go out and have big games. So it's not a super appealing matchup in terms of the team he's facing or the pace that they play at. But there's pretty clearly upside at that price. I have him coming in as a really good play at 8,000 on DraftKings.
Would you? Yeah, I really like him at 8K as well. Are you going with the assumption that Marvin Williams is still out?
Yes, for right now.
Okay. There's nothing else for this team, right?
Not that you feel super confident in. I mean, Jeremy Lamb's okay, but it's just like I was talking to someone.
I meant more like health and injury news, but
no.
Either way, I hear you.
Yeah.
Jeremy Lamb's fine. I mean, Cody Zeller for 4K still on DraftKings is kind of like, I don't want to say a must play because that's stupid, but
Cody Zeller will never at any point ever be a must play.
No, but like you have to be, if you're playing 150, I mean, you want some exposure there because it's just so easy to fit.
Yeah.
Why is he 4K?
So it actually, I mean, it's clearly underpriced, but I think it's kind of, if you think about it in the context of how DraftKings has been pricing their centers all season, it's like the correct price because if you put Cody Zeller at like 5K or 5,500,
you'll never play him.
Literally never. You should never have Cody Zeller in your lineup. But if you're going to take away a center spot with Cody Zeller, he better be like 4K.
That's a good point. Yeah, because it's still like, I'll play him, but I don't need 30% of him.
Right. Like the opportunity cost is still through the roof if you're playing Cody Zeller because most of the time you're like the outcome you're hoping for is like around 30 fantasy points, which means that at the position where guys exceed their salary most frequently, you're costing yourself a lot.
That's a very good point. I assume there's nothing that's standing out to you as super interesting from Charlotte.
No, I mean, it's just, Kid Gilchrist is fine. Also, like he got the start last game, which was good to see. Still only played 24 minutes, but that game blew out. He probably would have played around 26 to 28. But with Charlotte, I was talking to someone before the last game. We were talking about the rotation with Williams, and it's just that outside of the key guys, basically Kemba, there's so many different ways that this rotation can go because Charlotte just has guys that they can play every position, like 2 through 4, basically. In Batum's case, even they've used him at the 5 at times this year, but they just have so many guys that can play 2 through 4 that within games they run or from game to game they run inconsistent rotations because it's a lot of matchup based stuff and hot hand stuff between all of the secondary rotation guys. So it makes it so it's really difficult to trust these guys in any sort of cash format. And for the most part, outside of like Monk actually has upside, Parker has upside, but guys like Bridges aren't really high upside guys anyway. So I don't like rolling the dice on them. It just makes it really tough to get to anyone here with confidence outside of Kemba. And then to a lesser degree, like Zeller, Batum, Lamb.
I feel the exact opposite way now for Denver. I have a lot of Denver on my first crunch. I think a lot of it has to do with pricing. The top half of the Nuggets is priced pretty fairly. Let's start with my boy. Here it is. The best offensive center in basketball, Nikola Jokic, 9,500 on FanDuel, 9,300 on DK. I like Jokic here. It's hard for me not to. There's not a ton to worry about from a big man rotation perspective on Charlotte. It's all really just about how engaged Nikola Jokic wants to be.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Last game was pretty disappointing. He got out to a hot start. I think he had like 10 assists in the first half. Didn't finish the game that great. Only finished with like an 18.5% usage rate, which is always the frustrating thing with Jokic. Like there's no game that he should be going out there and not just, dominating offensive possessions, but it happens. So that's the risk you take with him. But that's also why he's 9,300 instead of like 11K. So you kind of just live with it. I think it's a good spot here. And I talked about it before. It obviously didn't come to fruition in that game, but over a small like 150-minute sample size since last season, when he's played without Harris or Barton on the floor, even if you put Jamal Murray on to try and account for another high usage guy. He's got a 30+% usage rate. His assist percentage has gone up. It's not that I expect it to continue at that level because Gary Harris shouldn't make that big of an impact, but the fact that he has, benefited positively is at least good to see.
Yeah, he's over the past 30 days, he's 13th in the league in fantasy points per minute of anybody that's played at least 100 minutes. He's still just lethal. It's just sometimes you just don't see it. He gets there somehow. I don't know how he does it. I always feel like I'm nervous.
I haven't looked. Do the Nuggets play tomorrow?
I have no idea. I mean,
That's one thing that actually I think makes a big difference. It always makes me scared with Jokic, just because Malone specifically had talked about limiting minutes on their back-to-backs, and we haven't really seen them play many back-to-backs. But
they do.
They do play tomorrow.
They play the Hawks tomorrow.
Slightly concerning. I mean, not in the sense that I don't want to play them, just in the sense that because normally for tournaments I'll kind of project guys to where I think their minutes could get to in a good situation. So I'll probably give Jokic now like 32 instead of 34.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that they are more likely to limit his minutes in that garbage Hawks game tomorrow.
Yeah, like they probably will. It scares me because in the first half of their back-to-back sets lately, they've just been running him like 28 minutes, like 28-minute rotations. Like he played 34 in an overtime game or 33 in an overtime game. So it concerns me, but hopefully Malone kind of just looks forward and does that tomorrow.
I saw a comment in chat that said, "Bend the brim of the hat, my man." And I was like, I'm not bending the brim of this hat. It's supposed to be flat. I look to the left, Dan Strafford. I'm going to keep it extra flat.
Yeah, no, my hats like yours are all flat.
Yeah, it's if I bent this, it would look so stupid. I'm nervous to do it.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Can't do it, Dan. Sorry. I'm going to boot you out of Slack for that. I think you have the ability to boot me right back. Jamal Murray, another guy that I've gotten. Whatever the word is. I got 17% Murray on my first crunch. I got 30% Paul Millsap, 6,400 on both sites. I'm digging me some Nuggets tonight. Are you liking them on DK?
Murray especially. He's locked into like 36 minutes no matter what. But when Harris misses, you're looking at like 38 to 40 minutes from Jamal, and that's obviously really, really nice. It's a perfectly fine spot for Denver. So yeah, I think that the Murray's price is still pretty cheap, especially DraftKings. You can get him at shooting guard and point guard, so that helps too.
Yeah, he's a guy that I don't always get, but with Harris out, it kind of changes the equation, and he's priced pretty nice. Like there's some real ceiling at 7,400.
Yeah. Talk
to me about Millsap, because I think this is more of a FanDuel play than a DK play when his price is the same at 6,400.
I need to actually, let me look quickly. If I'm trying to think. So Kaminsky's the backup center on Charlotte, because we've seen all season long that Millsap basically, it sucks, but he's stuck around like 28 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, because just playing the 4, because Trey Lyles generally gets his minutes. If it's not Trey Lyles, you'll get minutes for other guys, and we just haven't really seen Millsap be able to play like 34 to 36 minutes. But the exception to that is we do occasionally see him pick up a few minutes at center. Kaminsky being the backup center for Charlotte, I think you could maybe see Millsap get a couple at the 5, which would at least make me for tournaments give him maybe somewhere between 30 and 32 minutes instead of like 28. But I do agree with you. It's probably more of a FanDuel play than a DraftKings play.
Okay. Yeah, he prices back down to 6,400. He was up at 7,200 2 games ago. He's had 3 40-point games in the last 2 weeks. I mean, that's interesting to me when he's priced in the middle of the entire power forward tier.
Yeah, and I mean, he's at least a guy who can do a lot. He's capable of doing a lot in 30 minutes of action.
Yeah. Any interest in all of like the cast-offs at the bottom, the Beasleys, the Morris, the Craigs?
I do not think we will need to get there on this slate. Morris, for what it's worth, like even Morris only played 20 minutes last game. He's someone that I expected to get more minutes with Harris out. Some games maybe he will, but Torrey Craig played a bit more than I expected even against an Orlando team where there was no one out there for him to, really defend. He still got 25 minutes. So I think you would need him to lose some minutes in order for Morris to become, a viable option. Malik Beasley played the most minutes out of that group against Orlando, but he just doesn't really do a lot when he's out there. So he's not someone that I really want to take a chance on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, on DK at the minimum, I would not be really looking at those guys. On FanDuel, the story changes a little bit. I got a little bit of Beasley. I got a little bit of Morris. I have a little bit of Trey Lyles, although that I actually really don't. I'm really not happy about because he doesn't seem to be playing.
Yeah, if you're playing 150 lineups on DraftKings, having some $3,600 Monte Morris is fine.
Yeah.
Because, obviously just because he only played 20 minutes against Orlando doesn't mean he's going to only play 20 minutes tonight. And if he gets up to like 26 minutes, which is entirely possible, then he ends up being a pretty reasonable option at low ownership at, close to minimum price tag.
Speaking of ownership, our ownership has just been published. Take a look. Shout out Tom, I assume. I just know I'm not shouting at myself. I didn't do it. Yeah, that one makes sense. And that one makes sense. So from an ownership perspective in this game, we have 15% for Kemba on DK. That seems perfectly reasonable. 13% for Zeller. That seems reasonable. Jokic and Murray at 15 and 14 respectively on DraftKings. Paul Millsap at 17% on FanDuel. And that makes sense. 13% Trey Lyles. I think those people are using my projections for this ownership. I'll be under that number. But nothing crazy, nothing egregious. It all sort of makes sense. Anything else you want to point out for this game?
I don't think so.
Cool. Move on. This is the one we're all worried about. The 7 o'clock star, the Detroit Pistons hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. I assume that instead of getting a hotel room, Embiid is just going to stay in Drummond's head tonight. 108.5 implied total for the Pistons, 111 for the Sixers. We're going to start on the Pistons side. Andre Drummond is the chalkiest player on FanDuel as of right now. A little bit less so on DraftKings. He's 8,800 on FanDuel, 8,600 on DK. I mean, I understand why he's chalk, 21% expected ownership. I got more than that on my first crunch. I'm obviously nervous about it. It wouldn't shock me if he just socked Embiid at this point. Embiid is about as abrasive of an asshole to Andre Drummond as he is to anyone in the league. What do you want to do with Drummond? I assume you agree that you should smash him on FanDuel when he's 8,800.
Yeah, and I mean it's just a situation where I guess depends on your approach to DFS. For me, I pay attention to things like Drummond versus Embiid, and I pay attention especially. Well, really, the only position I pay attention to individual matchups is center, and he's got a checkered history against Embiid. He's got some decent games, but nothing huge. But at the end of the day, I still just care more about price tag and projections than I do about getting into individual matchups and what's happened in the past and any of the stuff like that. So I'm still going to be reasonably high on Drummond. It's going to scare me, but I can't. The thing is, I think that for me, because that's how I approach it, I can't individually pick some spots and be like, oh, I'm not going to play Drummond here because he doesn't have a good history against Embiid. But you need to do what you do throughout the course of the season. So I'm just going to have to suck it up and play some Drummond.
Yeah, I agree. That FanDuel price is it's really hard to avoid that. I will keep a close eye on the ownership of this entire crop at center. There's a seven. There's $1,000 drop between Drummond and Tristan Thompson, and then above him it's Gasol $200 more expensive, Vooch $400 more expensive, Jokic then $700 more expensive, and then you get all the way up to the Embiid tier. But that's sort of the area I want to take a closer look at as this day goes on, to see if maybe dropping exposure from Drummond to an essentially not owned Marc Gasol or Vooch is a little bit easier instead of trying to go above the field at 20% on Drummond.
Right. Yeah. And on DraftKings, you kind of have the price for Drummond is too cheap for sure at 8,600, but you do kind of just have that cluster around him where, you have Jokic for 700 more. You have Marc Gasol for 500 less. LaMarcus Aldridge, 7,600, Jokic or Vucevic is only 100 more. So there are plenty of guys in that range. It's not like it's an isolated range.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that his price. I wonder if that was on purpose. What was his price in the last?
He was like 88 on DraftKings against Milwaukee.
He was 9,300 in his last game. They dropped him $500 to this matchup to like force people. He was 10K 2 games ago, so they've dropped him $1,200 in the past 2 games to his biggest rivalry game in the year. It's fantastic.
I wonder if he's an example of someone who we end up projecting lower for ownership later in the day, based on just like public perception. Just because I mean everyone knows about this history with Embiid, and his game logs are pretty much trash lately.
Yeah.
I wonder if he ends up kind of coming in lower than we're thinking.
I hope so. I want Andre Drummond's expected ownership to go down so that I can be more comfortable playing less.
Right. Yep.
Let's talk about Blake then. 9K on FanDuel, 9,400 on DraftKings. I'm similar to the field. He's at 19% on FanDuel. Again, I wish that Covington and Saric were still there so that Blake could roast Saric again, but now they just have less bodies. This should be a really good game for Blake.
Yeah. So that's a really good point though, because you know as well as I do, we're going to get it. I don't have chat open, might have already happened, but we're going to get, Blake's a lock. He scored 82 and 66 against Philadelphia. Wilson Chandler and, different defense here. Wilson Chandler, not Dario Saric, makes a difference. Not that it makes it a bad spot, but you just can't really gain anything by looking at what he's done against Philly earlier this year.
No, not at all. But it's still a good spot, I think.
Yeah,
especially
sure.
at 9K. There's
no
room
no
to
question
grow.
about that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Everybody's freaking out about the new Avengers trailer. You an Avengers guy?
Yes and no. I'm really bad about watching movies. I don't get around to it, and then I have a shitty attention span, and then I forget what I have seen when I've, go 2 weeks after I've seen it. So I do like the Avengers movies that I've seen, but I haven't seen the trailer, and I'm sure I'll see it. I'm sure I'll see the movie 2 years after everyone else does.
Yeah, never seen any of them.
No, you're missing out. They're actually good.
Are they, or are they just like really good visually? I tried watching Iron Man, and I was just like, okay.
I don't know. I enjoy them. I don't know. I'm not like a movie critic.
I don't see any of that stuff outside of the Batmans, like Superman, all that nonsense. I mean, like Deadpool's a different movie to me.
I was gonna say you watched Deadpool.
Yeah, like that's a much different movie because of the dialogue. But like all of the big action stuff, I don't ever watch it. I don't know why. I can't really figure it out.
Okay, I have seen the Avenger movies. To clarify in Slack, I have seen them. You have not.
I legitimately have not seen an Avengers movie.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about them. Like if you said, oh, remember that part? No, I don't. But I have seen the movies.
Yeah, I want to like them. I just, for some reason, like the action doesn't draw me in. I'm more of a like stoner comedy guy. Surprise.
Yeah, that's shocking.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot one day. It's just like I gotta sit down to watch, and it's like 2.5 hours or something stupid. Aren't those movies crazy long? I guess I should like it. It would like our podcast,
right?
Who am I to judge people for going too long on something?
You sit through this podcast and you say the Avengers is too long for you to watch.
I deserve it all. It's like Swish and Mark just said, Grandma's Boy. I don't know how you landed on that one in particular, but yeah, like that's my idea of a good movie.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen Grandma's Boy.
Highly recommended if you're just looking to like wasted hour and a half.
I know I've seen parts of it. I just don't know if I actually watched because it's the kind of movie that I used like to fall asleep to, but I think I fell asleep to it.
Marcos in chat, he explained this perfectly for why I haven't seen this shit. It's like Lord of the Rings of storytelling.
I haven't seen Lord of the Rings.
No, neither. Well, I watched the first one because it came out like when we were in high school, and you only have so many. I worked at a video store, so I kind of just watched everything, and it was the most boring shit I've ever seen in my life. And that was before I had like a cell phone in my hand 24/7. So, yeah, that's not going to be the gold standard for me. I'm probably going to get eviscerated for this now. All right. Anything else from the Pistons side? I've got a little bit of Reggie Jackson, as I have for the past couple days. But the rest of these guys are not for me. We're getting a little love for Stanley Johnson, which I'd prefer to avoid.
Yeah, Stanley Johnson's kind of an interesting one. I was actually trying to pull up and see. So I was really surprised. I was looking at stuff before their last game, and he actually had like a 22% usage rate over the last month. Granted, he's been playing off the bench a lot. Now, he's looking at more minutes with Bullock out and now with Ish out, but still yesterday or last game, a 28.8% usage rate, 16 field goal attempts, made 3 of them, but 16 field goal attempts. I think that's actually it's really, really interesting for Stanley Johnson just because this team has thinned out so much. He actually still came off the bench against Milwaukee too, which I prefer. Like the minutes are still going to be there. He closed out the first half, but getting his like first run out there without quite as much, Drummond and Blake, I think is nice.
12% ownership on FanDuel. That feels, I guess, correct. I don't know.
Have you looked at like his recent, like it's weird. And I mean, so for Stanley Johnson, he's a guy that it's been talked about before that like, I guess he needs to be more aggressive offensively, but he's finally doing it. He has 4 straight games with at least a 28% usage rate.
16, 10, 16 in his shot attempts. 1 for 8, 1 for 6 from 3. That's fun. No free throw attempts in all of those games?
Yeah, hasn't had a free throw attempt in his last 3.
That's a tough sell for me. I don't. Yeah. I mean, these are just like they're super random. I don't know what to. I don't know what to make of that. I'd rather get beat by Stanley Johnson than play him, I think.
I don't know. I think it's too low. Like I think if that game had stayed close against Milwaukee, he was going to play like 30 something minutes.
It's these rotations. Like maybe it'll be Langston Galloway or Bruce Brown or Luke Kennard or I don't know. Glenn Robinson played like 8 minutes in this last game. Something stupid. I don't know what to do. I hate the Pistons.
Oh, I mean, I hate them too. I just think that like Stanley Johnson's the only guy there that I actually feel comfortable with. Like Langston Galloway almost always gets minutes, and he almost always does nothing with them. Luke Kennard can eat some minutes, but with Bullock out and with Ish out, there's minutes to be eaten.
Is Ish out?
Yeah,
I have him in right now.
I see him listed as out.
Where?
Basketball Monster.
He had an MR. He had an MRI yesterday. He dressed for practice yesterday. He's questionable per Roto World.
Huh.
It says Smith left Wednesday's game with a groin injury, and it was reported he would undergo an MRI, which he did yesterday. He was at practice. No idea if he practiced or not, but
yeah.
So
yes, yeah.
Fantasy Labs ruled him out. Well, that's cool. I need the team to do that first.
Yeah, all right. So I don't think Ish has a big impact on Johnson anyway.
I agree.
But yeah, I guess keep an eye on that since it seems like some sites are jumping the gun potentially.
Yeah, like nothing from what I read there seemed to me like has to be out.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the sites that people use for news also ruled out Otto Porter a couple days ago. So
yeah, they get the news from the team. Fantasy Labs gets the news from the same place we all get it, from probably the exact same beat writers list that we're all subscribed to too.
Yep.
I think they're calling in the bat phone to Fantasy Labs, being like, "Hey, Justin Fan, can you tweet this out for me, please?" No, we're all reading the same shit. Yeah, now Reggie Bullock is legit out with the note that he is out. That one's different.
Yeah. I mean, if someone can find like a Rod Beard tweet that Ish Smith isn't playing today, then I'll call him out.
Yeah, that's the one that I want. I need that one more than Labs. Let's talk Philly. Embiid 10-7 on FanDuel, 10-1 on DK. 12% expected ownership on FanDuel, 14 on DraftKings. Actually, we pushed out another update. Let me just refresh that quickly, but I don't get the sense that they changed all that much. What do you want to do with Embiid tonight?
I would like to play Embiid. It's obviously a really good matchup. The usage for him has been down lately, which I think has coincided with Jimmy Butler occasionally taking over games. But we've talked about how you can kind of expect Jimmy Butler's usage to go up in competitive games or marquee matchups. I think that Joel Embiid against Andre Drummond is a spot where Embiid might demand the ball a bit more and look to go at Drummond. If you go, they've played 5 times since the start of last season. We have usage rates from Embiid of 41, 43, 36, 28, and 42. I think he might have the ball in his hands a lot today compared to what we've seen in a couple of recent games. So I'm looking to get back to Embiid and maybe capitalize on the fact that his game logs aren't really that pretty right now.
It looks like a really, really nice price here. Would you assume the opposite of what we talked about for Drummond? Would you expect Embiid's ownership to rise from 12 to 6? Like it's at 12 on FanDuel, 16 on DK. Would you expect that to rise through the day because of the narrative?
I don't think so, just because it's expensive. I mean, it's still expensive, and if you're paying over 10K for Embiid, you are costing yourself some of the other stars on this slate. So
Okay.
I think that I think Embiid's probably comes in around there. Drummond, I just think narrative and game log wise, you could see it come in a little lower.
Okay. What about Simmons and Butler? Either of those guys stand out for you?
Not really. Simmons' price tag keeps dropping.
Yeah.
I think that he's fine. Like I'm not opposed to him. It's just that I would rather play Embiid if I can. It's not a bad Detroit defense, which I think is kind of surprising, but it hasn't been a bad Detroit defense. Simmons, I think, probably flirts with a triple double. Could give you maybe like a 12-10-10 line or something. It's just that on full slates, I still have trouble paying a reasonably high price tag for Simmons, just because he'll go out there and give you 50-point games occasionally, but more often than not, he's just throwing you a game that is fine, but isn't really helping you take down a tournament.
Okay.
Whereas Embiid, I think, is the one that's more likely to break the slate.
Are you seeing any value anywhere else in Philadelphia?
I'm
not.
No.
Outside of using Wilson Chandler as on FanDuel, where it's different.
Yeah, no, I mean, Embiid's the one that pops up as the best for me. Then Simmons in terms of point per dollar. Butler, I think, is probably the most volatile in that his median projection is going to kind of leave him low. But if you adjust his usage for a game where he does take over, then at 7,400, he's just too cheap. So I think that either depending on how you do it in your process, but either maybe setting randomness for Jimmy Butler higher than others, or just projecting him for higher usage and then making sure that you don't end up with a bunch of Butler plus Embiid or Butler plus Simmons. But I think that there's certainly a ceiling on Butler. It's just, I think for him, his game logs actually tell the story. 63, 18, 34, 28, 59. He's I think just going to really bounce around because there are some games where he doesn't need to do a lot offensively and other games where he's the focal point.
Sounds good to me.
But I expect Embiid to be the focal point today.
I would as well. I think he'll assert himself a bit for that, just in this particular matchup. All right, we go from a fun one to a not so fun one. The Orlando Magic hosting the Indiana Pacers. Magic 104.25 implied total, Pacers 102.25. So 2-point favorite for the Magic. Congratulations, Orlando. This is the lowest total on the board. It is ugly from a DFS perspective. I did not get any Orlando on my first crunch. I only got Tyreek Evans on the FanDuel side, or on the Indiana side rather. So we'll start with Orlando. Anybody at all standing out for you? Vooch at 8,700, certainly an appealing price, but this is a terrible game for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really unappealing game. Vooch is fine, but I would rather go to a lot of other guys. It's just his price, that price range, like we talked about with Drummond, it's just packed with guys. And you have Vooch, who not only is it an unappealing game in terms of the pace of this game, but it's unappealing in that he normally plays around 32 minutes, maybe gets to 34, but normally he's in that 32-minute range. Whereas you have other centers, Marc Gasol plays more than that. Drummond, if in a competitive game, if he doesn't get in foul trouble, probably plays closer to 36. So you're giving up a couple of minutes in addition to giving up possessions because of the pace.
Trying to see if I don't even see one guy that's oh, this looks like a decent value. I mean, DJ Augustine at 4,200, but not on this slate.
Yeah, the whole team is I have Vooch as a positive play, just not as positive as guys around him.
Yeah.
Everyone else, it's kind of coming in on DraftKings as they're fine. If I play at 150 lineups, I'd probably get them in a few, just as a result of limiting exposure to other guys.
Yeah.
But And it's not like, if someone like won a tournament with them or whatever, it wouldn't be like, oh my god, like what a lucky break, what an awful play. But it's just like they're priced where they should be, and more often than not, they're going to basically just hit their price tag.
Miles Turner is 7,800 on FanDuel. He was 5,400 at one point, like recently.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, that's what happens when Victor Oladipo is out, I guess.
Yeah. 6,400 on DraftKings.
Yeah. What do you think of him? We're projecting him for 0 ownership.
Decent spot. The minutes, the big thing for him, I think, is the minutes. He had been playing like 30 minutes, 32 against Sacramento 2 games ago, 34 last game against Chicago. We know that his production increases without Oladipo as well. The usage still bounces around game to game, but overall it averages higher when Oladipo's off. But again, it's just not a super appealing game. Like, even if I project him for, like 32 minutes and give him like a 22.5% usage rate, he comes in as priced slightly lower than he should be at 6,400, but not enough to where he would like pop out for me.
Okay. I assume there's no way you have a lot of interest in Tyreek at 5 on DraftKings.
No, I think that
the ship is sailing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the stuff that like Lofty and I talked about a lot before the last game. It's not the same Tyreek Evans. He doesn't have the ball in his hands as much. If you look at potential assists since the Oladipo injury, he's trailing Collison, Joseph, Sabonis in potential assists per game and per 36 minutes. But also his field goal attempts just aren't coming at the rim. They're coming from the perimeter. They're 3-pointers, and he's not a good shooter. Like, he's someone that needs to be picking up assists and getting to the rim, and he's just not. That's not what's happening now. So, and then you have the inconsistent minutes as well. Like, he hasn't topped 30 minutes yet. So I'm good on Evans.
Yeah, I don't want more than a little bit that pops up. I don't want to. It's a bad game. It's a bad everything. It's probably the reason he'll probably go for 34 minutes and 60 tonight. Right. It's just not that kind of game. That total is too low. You don't want to give up on that, or you don't want to give up all of those potential points just by playing in a game with a total 10 points below everything else. I got nothing here.
Nope.
To Brooklyn we go. The Brooklyn Nets hosting the Toronto Raptors. Nets 106 implied total. Raptors 115. 9-point favorites in Brooklyn. Ooh. I have a little bit of Brooklyn. We'll start with D'Angelo Russell, 7,400 on FanDuel, 6,900 on DraftKings. He's not the guy I have. Anything for you on Russell? The price is a little bit better on DK.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that I certainly wouldn't touch him in cash games, but he played 29 minutes last game, which on the surface seemed like or 30 minutes. It seems like it would be concerning because like Joe Harris is back, his minutes went down, but that's not really the case. He played less than 3 minutes in the second quarter. Really just, I think, as a result of not playing well. His stats in the second quarter were turnover, steal, assist, turnover, and then he was taken out of the game.
Not bad.
So I think that you still could get like 34 minutes out of him, in which case we know the kind of ceiling the guy has. He's got a 30+% usage rate and assist percentage without Karis LeVert on the floor this season. So it's a really difficult matchup, no question about it. But he's the guy on this team that is most likely to just go off regardless of matchup. So from a tournament perspective, he's actually my favorite guy on Brooklyn. He's just still not someone that I would plan on prioritizing all that much.
Yeah, the only guys I got were Jared Allen, 6,300 on FanDuel, and we're projecting 3% ownership, so I'm not exactly going like super heavy on him, but I'll have a little bit. Spencer Dinwiddie, 6K on FanDuel, 5,800 on DraftKings, and then I keep being able to not avoid Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, at least in a small amount. Nothing crazy, but just a little bit of Brooklyn. I don't know why. I don't like it. It's a terrible spot, but here we are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk Toronto. Kawhi Leonard, 10-2 on FanDuel, 9,700 on DK. Barely any ownership, just 6% on FanDuel. I got 26. I love Kawhi at 10-2, but I am a little nervous that I'm going to get that same situation we talked about. I think it was you and I on Wednesday, where I like Kawhi more in games that matter, and this is not one of those games.
Yeah, it's really weird to hear you say that you have a lot of Kawhi because that doesn't happen every time Kawhi plays.
It doesn't actually. There was a little stretch there where I didn't get him at all, but he continues to. I feel like Kawhi plays with on the same day as Giannis, LeBron, and Durant and Paul George like every day.
He really does.
It's this 5-man crop at the top of small forward just constantly. But he's got the lowest expected ownership out of everybody in that group on FanDuel. Giannis at 19, LeBron at 14, Durant at 13, Paul George 11, and then Kawhi at 6. So it's really easy to get yourself some Kawhi, be over the field, and it has no bearing on like the way that you distribute the rest of your exposure. You can be over on him, and it won't kill you if he doesn't get there.
Yeah, I think he's a better FanDuel play since you have to roster the two small forwards too.
Yeah.
DraftKings, I talk about it a lot, but it's essentially positionless. Like you can, if you want a guy in your lineup, it's not difficult to get him in. And so you're talking about Kawhi at 9,700, which on its face is perfectly fine. It's not too cheap for him. I mean, it's not too expensive for him. But when you're talking about him, just quickly to pull out names, he's $400 less than Embiid. He's $1,100 more than Drummond. He's $1,700 more than Kemba. These are all guys that have monster ceilings as well, and you're not getting a much higher ceiling by going to Kawhi. Maybe he gets there a little bit more frequently, and his median projection is certainly higher than some, but it's probably in tournaments at least just not the best use of money.
Yeah, it's a much different play on DraftKings where you just have the ability to roster people differently. God, what is the word I'm looking for? The customization of DraftKings it changes the entire way we talk about this stuff. What about Kyle Lowry? 7,800 on both sites. 2% expected ownership on DK.
No interest.
Man, what is wrong with Kyle Lowry right now? He's playing well as a basketball player, just not as like a fantasy player.
Yeah, no, I mean, with Kawhi on the floor this season, Lowry has a 17.2% usage rate, 32.6% assist percentage. He's just taking a backseat to Kawhi. He's just not someone that demands the ball in his hands. We've seen it in the past when he plays with Fred VanVleet. He'll just go stand in the corner and let VanVleet run the offense. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing here. So, I mean, I haven't projected for like 33 and a half DraftKings points, which seems egregious and seems really low and scares me. And then I go and I look at his games with Kawhi, and it's just like that's where he has to be, basically.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a tough sell. Anybody in the Serge or Pascal Siakam range?
Whichever center starts, I think, is appealing.
This doesn't feel like a Jonas game, does it?
Kind of does. Like, is Jared Allen gonna he can hang in there with Allen? Can he? I mean,
I don't think that he can't. I just mean does it feel like the type of game where they care enough to roll out Jonas? That's really all that matters. Do we think that Jonas Valanciunas plays 24 minutes tonight is really the question.
Right, yeah. I mean, if he starts, I like him. Like his price, he's down to 4,600 on DraftKings. But we've seen Ibaka when he starts now playing a bunch of minutes and making it so Jonas is really just not a factor. But I mean, if we get the start for Jonas, then I think he's a really good play here against one of the worst rebounding teams in the league.
Yeah, I guess that's how I should have posed that question. Do you think Jonas starts?
I have no freaking idea, but
okay, there we go.
Yeah,
because that really is all that matters. If we know that he's starting, we bump his minutes to 22, and I assume you and I are going to be in the same boat that we're not going to be able to stop him from popping up.
Right, exactly. And unfortunately, they have not played Brooklyn this season. They played in the preseason, but that's it. So we don't even have past history to try and guess what they're going to do. I've been wrong plenty on who I think starts for Nick Nurse here, because it's not like Ibaka can't start against anyone. It's more that it's a Valanciunas shouldn't start against some guys, but Ibaka can handle basically anyone. So Ibaka starts in some games where you would expect Jonas to start as well. So just hopefully we get a lineup before lock.
Anybody else from Toronto that you're interested in?
No, not particularly.
Okay, I can't stop getting a ton of Danny Green. I'm manually nerfing him right now. Ugh. And I guess I got to bring down Kawhi, which kind of bums me out a little bit. But he's my dude, so it'll be fine. I gotta go get myself some New Balance kicks. Eric
Why
Kawhi.
are you bringing down Kawhi?
Oh, because I got 26% of him, and we're only projecting 6. It's not like
Oh,
I'm
you
like,
meant
bringing him down. No, I'm just making adjustments to like my, guys that are miles above the field type stuff.
Yeah. I thought you meant you were like lowering where you like what you had him going for.
No, not at all. All right, let's move on. Cavs Kings. Whatever. 109.5 implied total for the Cavs. 112 for the Kings. 2.5-point favorites in Cleveland is just a testament to how bad the Cleveland Cavaliers are at basketball. They are currently 30th in effective field goal percentage offensively and 30th defensively. They are the worst shooting team in basketball, and they are the worst defensive team at stopping people from making buckets. That's not going to get you anywhere except for the top of the lottery. And, that's probably exactly where they want to be. Now, let's talk about the fact that I've got a lot of Cleveland here, which is pace up spot for Cleveland. Tristan Thompson, 7,800 on FanDuel, 7,300 on DK. This is not the spot for me. He's too expensive now. Am I crazy?
Sort of.
Oh.
So with Thompson, I don't think he's too expensive for how he's playing at all. Like he still comes in as a pretty good play. The issue though for me is that with George Hill back in this lineup, there's a chance that we see Thompson play like 34 minutes more frequently. Before he was playing 38 to 40 in competitive games. He played 30 minutes against Golden State. He lost 4.5 minutes to foul trouble in the second quarter. He lost 3 minutes to blowout in the fourth quarter. So if you add on all of those minutes, you'll get him back to like 37. But he also had some extra minutes in the third quarter where I'm not sure exactly what happened, but he only sat on the bench for like 1 minute. So that's not something that is part of the normal rotation. So I think that you have to probably go back to projecting him for like 34 minutes now that and to explain more, I guess the impact George Hill has is that it slides everyone down. It makes it so Larry Nance has more minutes available to play center. He's not being forced to play a ton of minutes at the 4. And that's how it affects Thompson. So I think that projecting him for like 34 minutes instead of 38 makes a big difference. And it just so happens that his price tag is finally rising at that same time. So that's what makes it less appealing. But I still think that he's a fine play in a pace up spot here against in a spot where you should be able to get plenty of rebounds.
I just see like there's an abundance of center options. We're projecting him for 2% ownership, so you can just as easily get 5% Tristan Thompson if you really like him and you're in great shape. I don't know. I mean, he has been fantastic. My model is lower than his per minute rates over the past month. I probably something I should bump up a little bit. He's just kind of playing different. Let's talk about the rest of these guys. I've got some Jordan Clarkson. I can't stop myself from getting Colin Sexton. I got Rodney Hood, which I guess ended up working out a little okay 2 nights ago when I messaged you and said I got 20% Rodney Hood and I'm terrified.
Yeah, he got off to a great start too.
Yeah.
And then he had 0 points in the second half. That's impressive.
That's Rodney Hood for you. I've got some Chetty. I can't stop getting some Alec Burks. I feel like having some pieces of this Cleveland team is the right idea in this pace up spot, but man, I don't trust anyone individually.
Yeah, I agree with that. Cleveland's just like a team right now where in cash games, I think especially on bigger full slates, you can pretty easily find guys that have higher floors. But in tournaments, the price tags are just appealing. I mean, you have Colin Sexton still playing a ton of minutes, being a high usage guy. You have Jordan Clarkson, who's now playing 28 to 30 minutes a night. We know that he's just solely out there to just chuck up some shots. Also getting some double checking it now, but getting some backup point minutes as well. You don't have Harrison on the team anymore, so it's basically Burks and Clarkson handling the ball at the second unit. So yeah, I think Clarkson's fine. The price tag's nice. Hood and Chetty and Burks are all cheap enough that they certainly have ceilings. You just have to put up with those games where they suck also. So I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like I don't trust these guys in cash because most of them are not actually good at basketball, but there's the opportunities there and the matchup is there for them here. So I do like them in tournaments.
Same page. I will never be comfortable with it. Whoever I pick, I'm going to be mad about. It'll be the other guy that goes off. There's too many different weird dudes. Man, the Cavs suck. Let's talk about the Kings. I barely got them. You going to my boy? I think he's back.
And if he's back, I like the spot.
5,300. The nice price point.
Yeah, it is.
And Bagley's basically just like the better version of Larry Nance.
Yeah. So I guess the concerning thing, even if he's back, is do they handle him with kid gloves or not? Because it was a back injury. Do they, run him back out there 30 minutes, or does Dave Yeager use as an excuse to not play him?
Depends who's making the decisions for Sacramento, right. I guess, right? It'll be a nice testament.
Yeah, like he could just pretty easily just get, oh man, his back's hurt. He's playing 18 tonight.
Yeah, this could be a DMP CD just to get Costa Koufos and Harry Giles more minutes.
Right. But yeah, I think Bagley's fine if he plays. Tough spot for Cauley Stein, who normally I love, but not as appealing a spot as normal. Bogdanovic's price has come up. The Kings are finally it was like a 2-week stretch where every player on this team was underpriced. Now they're finally getting back closer to where they should be. I think the Aaron Fox is decent, but it is worth pointing out that the one thing Cleveland has been good at this season, at this point, though, it is kind of anecdotal because we haven't had that player tracking data on NBA.com for a while, but they actually do a pretty good job of slowing down pick and roll ball handlers. They give it up to everyone else as a result, but selling out to stop that has kind of been a thing they've done this year. And that is concerning for De'Aaron Fox, who is one of the biggest pick and roll guys in the league. And the price tags come up. It is a huge pace down game. So all of that working against him, it works in the favor of Buddy Hield. But again, his price tag has come up. So I'm higher in tournaments on Cleveland than the Kings, even though I love the Kings players and I hate the Cavs players.
I feel the exact same way. I'll have a little bit of Buddy Hield.
Yep.
And I'll have a little bit of Shump at 3,800 FanDuel specific.
I was going to say nope.
Yeah, FanDuel 3,800. Hard to avoid. Easy to avoid, but
very easy to avoid. But I know what you mean.
Very easy to avoid. But yeah, you catch my drift. I can't tell if that's an L or an I, so I'm going to go with I, but it's almost assured. Jacarl. It's got to be Jacarl. I don't know, whatever. I hope it's Jacarl. Am I right? Let me know in chat. He said, Sexton just going to score in the paint with ease. So I want to check and see how the Kings are at defending the rim, because I don't really know the answer to that. Do you?
Not off the top of my head, no.
All right, defensively, they give up... They are 24th in the league at frequency of shots in the rim, which is not great. And they are 26th in the league at field goal percentage at the rim. So they are letting people get to the rim very successfully this year, if that matters to you at all for this particular game. I think that is something to pay attention to. If people can get in to the rim in a fast-paced pace-up game for Cleveland, that makes me like guys that are going to take it to the rack a little bit more. If I'm looking for like a tiebreaker between Rodney Hood or Alec Burks or something like that,
right?
Play style could help you a little bit.
Yes, I think we both use that the same way. Where it's good information to have, and it certainly can help you in confidence, with your exposures and stuff. But for the most part, I'm still weighing just pace and team defense, everything that goes into my projections more.
Yeah, that's not gonna matter to me. But if I'm working through a crunch and narrowing stuff down for a single entry, and I've got one with, Alec Burks in and one with Jordan Clarkson, and Clarkson shoots 80% of his shots at the rim, and Burks doesn't do that, I think that I would give the nod to the guy that sort of fits that particular game script. But it's not changing my exposures or anything.
Yeah, and that's how I use it too. De'Aaron Fox is an example. If hypothetically De'Aaron Fox were showing up in 60% of my lineups and I knew I was going to be really high on him, if knowing that Cleveland is better at stopping the pick and roll than they are at anything else would make me less confident in having that, but it's not going to make me suddenly go underweight on De'Aaron Fox.
Right. I think we should get out of this game.
Yes, please.
Alrighty. To the Bulls we go. Bulls. Ooh, this is going to be rough. 103.25 implied total for Chicago. 111.75 for the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is a matchup of a really bad defense, a really great defense. So I'm fascinated by this one. I guess we'll start on the Chicago side. Levine 8,300, 8,200. I can't imagine wanting to play Zach LaVine here unless you're on the side of the Bulls keep this close.
Even so, it's just tough. Like, I mean, I love Levine as a fantasy player,
Yeah.
but it's just tough at this point, to get there. He also, I mean, he played 34 minutes in last game, but I think that, uh, yeah, he lost like 4 minutes to a foul, so still should get like 38 minutes. Just kind of looking back through the rotation with the new coach, but the minutes should be there. The field goal attempts will be there, but it is a difficult matchup against Oklahoma City, and there are just so many plays on this slate that it's not something I'm prioritizing.
Only guy I got with any sort of volume is my boy, Wendell Carter. 6,400 on FanDuel, 5,200 on DK. I like him more now with Markkanen on the team, as weird as that sounds, because I think it just makes the pieces fit together better. Do you like Carter? I was very much on Carter at 4,800 2 nights ago. It paid off tremendously. He's 5,200 on DK. The price is much better on DraftKings. I still like him, but buyer beware. Oklahoma City is not the matchup that you want to just jam in a ton of people against.
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrified of the matchup, but the price there's certainly upside at the price tag. He's back to playing, 32 minutes. It all comes down to foul trouble for him, but at
Yeah.
least we're seeing what the intended rotation is, and it's for Carter to play in that 32-minute range, which means that especially since he's always been a power forward on FanDuel, but he has power forward eligibility on DraftKings still as well, and so the opportunity cost is lower. There's plenty of upside for a very good offensive player here. It's just a difficult matchup. So keep that in mind. But the price tag I think accounts for it.
I'd love to know how he picks up his fouls, because if it's a lot in like help defense, that makes me concerned for a matchup against someone like Russ, who is coming in
Right.
like a wrecking ball. I should have sang it. Shit. uh, if he's not picking him up so much in help and he's just like clumsy in his matchups, that's different. But if it's a lot of like barreling into people trying to close out, this is not the spot for it because Russ will be in the paint pretty regularly.
Yeah.
I assume you don't have interest in anyone else on this team. I mean, maybe Jabari at 6, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean Jabari's minutes are obviously down with Markkanen back. The price tag's coming down, but I would like it to get a little bit lower. Markkanen I think is fine at 6,300, but it's not a priority. One thing to mention about Chicago as a whole, though, with the change in coaching, is we did get quotes after their last game from their new coach, basically talking about we're going to look to get out and run when we can, but we think that we'll be most effective, forcing teams to defend us, defend all of our guys throughout the shot clock. So I think they're going to get a lot slower than they were,
Okay. That's a good
which
thing to point out.
makes this entire game less appealing.
Yeah. Any interest in the campaign revenge narrative? I couldn't get it out without laughing.
Yeah, man, you just gave away my secret play. He's in all my lineups.
I figured as much. Oh god, man, they traded like a lot for him.
I hate making fun of guys like that because they always have a ceiling game. Me and Lofty did it with Thomas Bryant against Atlanta,
Yeah.
and he went for like a double double in I don't know 18 minutes or something.
A campaign should not have any revenge in his heart. He should be thanking his lucky stars that he's still paid to play in the NBA. Here it comes now. Now I cemented it. I'm always depressed when I see you take a sip out of that coffee because I assume you're just drinking out of like the 30-ounce beer mug again, but that's different at 10:20 a.m.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a great look.
Eh,
Might be getting messages from Tom like, "All right, you can drink on shows, but maybe like afternoon."
yeah, maybe not the morning show. Let's keep that to the deeper dive. Russell Westbrook, 11-3 on FanDuel, 11-4 on DraftKings. He's one of my favorite plays of the day on FanDuel. I have more than the field. I generally do. Russ grades out really well for me, generally speaking. But he has, I mean, this is like the gold standard of matchups. I don't think Archie's putting him on lock tonight.
Really, you don't?
Maybe Campaign does. Maybe he picked up some Russell Westbrook tidbits back in the day when Russ was just verbally abusing him, I'm sure.
That's how Luke and Mamute, on a totally different tangent. That's how he got so good defensively. Was defending Russell Westbrook one-on-one in practices at UCLA.
That makes sense. God, what a team.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I mean, Westbrook, really good, really nice matchup. All of that. Lots of guys at this price point. So not like I'm saying I'm jamming in a ton of Westbrook, but certainly nothing wrong with going to him here.
I
But
would
again, keep in mind that Chicago probably does start playing at a slower pace.
Okay. I would have loved to jam in more Paul George. His price jumped $1,000 on FanDuel after that 72 burger he dropped 2 nights ago.
Yeah, up to 91 on DraftKings too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a harder time getting to Paul George. I like him. It's a great, really good matchup for him. It's just really difficult to provide a lot more ceiling when your price jumps $1,000 and you're still the same guy.
Right. Yeah, I still like him. I still think he has some upside still at the price point, but the problem now is he really quietly, when he was like 8,300, was a guy that it's always hard to find, but he was a guy that at low ownership was going to give you like, a 5-ish X game a ton of the time and had blow up potential, which is just like so difficult to find. Now at this price tag, still low owned, still has blow up potential, but more frequently he's going to kind of disappoint you.
Anybody else here? Schroeder, 5,700 and 5,500? I don't know.
So I mean, like Steven Adams is okay, but I don't love it, especially because it takes up a center spot. And he's not really cheap. It's a really bad rebounding Chicago team, is why I like it. But
Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm just throwing shit against the wall to see if any of it sticks.
Yeah, I mean, Adams, Schroeder, and Grant all kind of are just at that point where when I look at like my value ratings, it's like, yeah, they're okay, but certainly won't be in a lot of lineups.
I hear you. Yeah, let's touch on Dunn and Portis tonight. It's not out of the realm of possibility that Portis plays today.
Yeah, that would just be an absolute nightmare.
I am treating them both like they're out. The Dunn one seems more like he's back this weekend or on Monday, but the way that it was reading for like they're both practicing. So keep an eye on Chicago. It's possible that blows this shit up even worse. Portis coming back would be a pretty easy way to just completely ignore the Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, what role does he even play here?
I have no idea. This is a legitimate comment. Should he play a bigger role than Jabari Parker?
That's the guy that I was thinking maybe he it definitely shouldn't be over Carter. It definitely shouldn't be over Markkanen.
Right. They are not financially locked to Jabari Parker right now. You wanted Jabari Parker to be good and like the Bulls to catch, and then you say to yourself, as the Bulls, we can move forward with Jabari and figure this out. But if they're all just still shit, it's probably Portis, right? Like you prioritize Portis over Parker, and you say, good luck next year, Jabari.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I would think that it's either Parker or Portis that I think takes the big hit in terms of minutes here. Like, there's no way that Markkanen and Carter should be losing minutes to Bobby Portis.
No, not at all. Then again,
it's the Bulls.
Yeah. Unreal. Yeah, so just keep an eye on it. I don't think anything is official yet. I don't expect either guy to play. If anyone is playing, it's Portis, but the most likely scenario here is probably like 95%. They're both just out.
It's the Bulls. They're not playing for anything. Maybe they can just run like a Carter, Markkanen, Portis at the 3, Parker at the 2, Levine at the 1, just like massive lineup. Like, what's the worst that would happen? Yeah. They'd lose.
Right. The line from Roto World says Portis has resumed practicing and could potentially return within the week, although they haven't offered up a specific date. So, I mean, I don't know. If Portis is feeling good and Jim Boylan, whichever Jim Boylan this is like a big Portis fan, who knows?
Yeah.
But if they're in, get them out of there. You don't want Chicago then. Too many dudes. All right, let's get out of this game. The New Orleans Pelicans hosting the Memphis Grizzlies. 111.25 implied total for the Pels. 106.25 for the Grizzlies. So 5-point favorites for New Orleans. Anthony Davis, brace yourself for this one. Price on FanDuel, $12,900. That's a lot. $11K on DK, much more desirable. I'm going to have a really hard time playing Anthony Davis in a pace down spot at 12-9 against the Grizzlies, who are one of the better fantasy defenses in the league.
Yeah, as you should. And it's, we talk about it a lot that salary is what really matters. I don't care about, I care, but I don't really care about what matchup Anthony Davis is in because it's Anthony Davis and he has a monster ceiling in all of them. But at 12-9, you really need him to hit that ceiling and hit it hard for to be happy that he's in your lineup. 11K on DraftKings is much more appealing. Like you said, there you're basically just comparing his odds of reaching, a certain ceiling to guys like Westbrook and Embiid and everything else. So that's where the, matchup kind of comes in because it is a pace down game. It is a good defense. His probability of getting there is a little bit lower, but I can't really see paying 12-9 on FanDuel.
I agree. 11K on DK I think is fine. He's just sort of there with everybody else that's expensive. Right. That once you're at that point, you're just, he's still not even the most expensive. Russ and Giannis both more expensive. 12-9 on FanDuel is a tough one for me. I'd like to see his ownership go up.
What's his FanDuel price relative to like Giannis?
Giannis is 12-2.
Right. So and
then you've got LeBron at 11, Durant at 10-6. Russ is only 11-3, Embiid 10-7. He's just miles above everybody.
Right. DraftKings, you kind of just have, they're all lumped together. So it's like you probably, if you're playing 150 lineups, this probably just isn't a spot where you want to take a massive stand. Yeah. Like you probably don't want your night coming down to, oh man, I went all in on Giannis over Davis because like they're going to score. They're just so close together that it's not going to be that big of a difference, over a long-term sample who comes out ahead. But where the price tags are drastically different and Davis is the most expensive, like you said on FanDuel, you really, really need Davis to just smash his ceiling a lot in the spot.
I didn't get anybody else on my side from the Pels. No Drew, no Randall. Nico is, by all accounts, in today. I believe he's listed as probable.
Randall might be starting, though.
Does it matter?
Yes and no.
It doesn't matter from a volume perspective. We're not playing 20%, 30% Julius Randle when we get that news this time.
Well, right, but
it changes the rest of it.
And it matters because if Randall's coming off the bench, he's playing like 26 minutes. If he's starting, I think that you probably see him get like 32.
Yeah, he becomes viable.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with.
Yeah, if Randall's not starting, I don't want Nico, and I don't want Randall. If Randall's starting, I want Randall. I still don't want Nico.
Agreed. What do you want to do with Drew at 8,500?
If Randall starts, it does hurt Drew and Davis, I think.
I agree.
Just because, he's a higher usage guy than Nico is, and he's going to be grabbing a bunch of rebounds too. And he can facilitate, so it's just, All
right, let's play a little game. Let's say Julius Randle is starting. Same price on FanDuel as Tristan Thompson. Who would you rather have?
Thompson. Randall's a center on FanDuel?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, Thompson.
Same price as Miles Turner on FanDuel. Who would you rather have?
Randall.
Okay. $100 more expensive than Steven Adams.
Randall, just because he has more blow-up potential.
Okay. It's just 4 guys at 7,700 or 7,800. So
I'm trying to pull up now and see. So over the last month, Randall, Holiday, and Davis have played 235 minutes together. Davis's usage is about the same as it has been for the season at 28.8%, averaging 1.5 fantasy points per minute. Holiday takes a hit. He drops down to about 23%, and Randall's sitting at 22%. 1.2 fantasy points per minute for Holiday, 1.15 for Randall.
Randall's at 22?
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
22% usage, 18.8% rebounds, about 11% assists.
Okay. Do you have any interest in anything from Memphis? Marc Gasol, not a guy I'm really looking at. Mike Conley, not a guy I'm looking at. Jaren Jackson's a real tough sell here. 7,400 on FanDuel. The $6,100 price point looks okay on DK, but can he stay on the floor?
Right. I mean, that's obviously always the risk with him.
Pelicans get to the line a lot.
Yeah, but it's such an appealing matchup though. Like it's a fast paced game. It's a not very good Pelicans defense.
Yeah.
I think one of Jaren Jackson or JaMychal Green probably pays off their price tag pretty nicely.
Yeah, JaMychal Green 5,200 on FanDuel, 4,500 on DK. I'd feel more comfortable with JaMychal Green.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Less, tournament winning upside.
Yeah.
But
what are the odds that Jaren Jackson is the linchpin to the top on this particular slate?
Right. I do think it's a really good matchup for him though if he can stay on the floor.
I completely agree. And that's the big if.
I think 8,100 for Gasol on DraftKings is too cheap also. Coming off an absolutely atrocious game, but I just think that's too cheap for him in this spot.
Yeah, let me see who's around him. Yeah, I'd rather have Marc Gasol than Levine at $100 more. I'd rather have Gasol over Kemba. I'd rather have Gasol over Lowry or De'Aaron Fox. Would you rather have Marc Gasol at 8,100 or Ben Simmons at 83?
That's a really good comp. I guess Ben Simmons.
I have Ben Simmons and Marc Gasol projected for the exact same point total. 43.1.
God, they were playing Joakim Noah alongside Marc Gasol. How does that work?
Shit, I probably didn't project Noah's minutes.
But yeah, anyway, so
who did I give those minutes to then?
That is one negative for Gasol. We were seeing him play like 38 minutes a night. With Noah there, he should come back down into like the 34-minute range.
Remind me to correct that. I forgot to resort the table because I didn't think that Joakim Noah was going to end up back in there, so he's just down at the bottom. So I had to just give him a team quickly. Why is he in the league? How did he look? Do you know?
Based on tweets from the Memphis writers, he looked very tired, but like effective. Like, he played well. He just hasn't played basketball in a while.
Yeah, he shouldn't be. All right, let's get out of this game, I guess.
Yes.
I didn't know if you had any really big Shelvin Mack hot takes.
No, but I don't want to jinx it either.
All right. Let's run it back. San Antonio Spurs hosting the Los Angeles Lakers. 113.5 implied total for the Spurs. 112.5 for the Lakers. Spurs, absolutely terrible defensively. And it shocks me. I mean, then I look at the people that are on the team and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. 8,600 for DeMar DeRozan on FanDuel, 8,900 on DK. I can't imagine people really wanting to play DeMar DeRozan on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, you can sort of justify it. I don't really have a ton of interest. I just don't trust the Spurs team right now. I don't even know how to project these rotations. I started looking at these minutes this morning when I was projecting out everything, and it's one day somebody plays 15 minutes, the next day they play 30, the next day it's 19, the next day he's a DNP CD. Just avoid everybody? Is that the answer? Play LaMarcus Aldridge for 7,600 and just don't get too cute?
Yeah, I mean, you give Aldridge around 34, you give DeRozan 36 to 38, you give Gay like 30, I don't know, 2 or 4.
Okay, so we are on very different pages already.
With who?
I don't have Rudy Gay anywhere near that number.
What do you have him at?
26.
No.
No?
No. The games where he hasn't played a lot of minutes. So there have been games where he just kind of hits the bench because pop is pop. But his normal rotation in competitive games has been like anywhere between 30 and 35.
Yeah, look, 35, 19, 35, 25, 19, 17.
Yeah, but they get blown out. A lot of those are blowouts. And foul trouble.
Well, look, I guess we're talking about two separate things here. I think we're both right in that you're projecting to his essentially ceiling minutes, and I'm not.
I mean, kind of, but like, I think 26 is like his normal blowout run. Like, what? Okay, so he played 35 minutes in the last game. He played 19 the game before that when they got absolutely shit on by Utah.
Yeah.
He played 35 the game before that, played 25 against Houston in a game that was a blowout. I'm pulling that one up now, but my guess is that he missed the entire fourth. He played 25 minutes and missed the entire fourth quarter.
I'm just starting to think that I should expect them to get blown out. That's the problem in all of this.
They suck.
Look, I think you are way more right than me than I am right. Let's be clear here. I'm not comfortable with anything that I'm doing here. I just don't know what else to do with them. If I project Rudy Gay for 32 minutes right now, I'm going to end up with like 40% Rudy Gay.
Yeah. Rudy Gay did not step on the floor in the fourth quarter against Houston. Neither did LaMarcus Aldridge. Neither did DeMar DeRozan.
I don't know how to project these guys anymore.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I'm going to project him for like 32 minutes because if I give him 34, then I'm going to have way more Rudy Gay than, oh, shit, I guess I won't. On DraftKings, I still don't get a ton of Rudy Gay. I don't think if I give him 34 minutes.
Let me take a look here. All right, I'm gonna bump Rudy Gay to 31. I'm gonna bump Aldridge to 33. Or am I still too low? You think?
That's the right ball. Like I do 34, but it's the right ballpark.
Okay, DeRozan 35.
36 to 38.
Fuck me. All right, when I bumped Rudy Gay to 31, I got to shave 9 minutes off of somebody. Who are you cutting? Bertans? What do you have Bertans at?
Bertans.
Here's another guy. I did 14, 25, 27, 18,
it depends
17.
who starts.
Fuck me, man.
You probably have either Bertans or Cunningham too high.
I have Cunningham at 21 and Bertans at 22.
Yeah, one of them needs to be in like the teens. Low teens.
Well, I'll feel more comfortable putting Dante Cunningham in the low teens because I don't want to play him even if he's at 25 minutes. So that seems like the least.
Yeah, whichever one comes off the bench should probably play like 12 to 14 minutes.
All right, let's do this. When I did this, I've got it now back at 240. By bumping Rudy Gay to 31, it moved his exposure cap in my model to 23, which I think is then reasonable. We're projecting him for 16%. So it also puts DeMar DeRozan right at the same level. It keeps my cap at LaMarcus Aldridge at his ownership cap. So, all right, I'm comfortable with it. I'm nervous as hell, though. That's a lot of Rudy Gay. 5,800 on FanDuel. Let's talk about how much we like Rudy Gay then.
Yeah, that's much more appealing than 59 on DraftKings.
Rudy Gay grades out now as like a fantastic FanDuel play. That's probably right, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's a volatile play, but
Rudy Gay now has my 7th highest exposure cap on the slate.
Sounds like you're in for a fun night.
Nope. I don't agree. I don't agree at all. I'm going to recrunch now with this lovely news. All right, so what do you want to do with the Spurs just in general? Give me your Spurs take.
Send them to the G League. But beyond that, the main three guys, I mean, DeRozan, Aldridge, Gay, it's obviously a nice matchup for all of them. I'm looking at DraftKings pricing. I have Aldridge as the most favorable. I have DeRozan next, and then I have Rudy, and then I have the rest of the team falling off of a cliff. So yeah, like those guys, if I get them, then great. Aldridge would be my favorite, but yeah.
See where I'm at on
I
this.
do like the game is at least in San Antonio.
Yeah, Rudy Gay coming up quite a bit.
Remember when we used to have to like factor in the game being in San Antonio because it was going to be really tough for the other team to hang around?
Yeah, not so much anymore. Pace up spot for San Antonio.
Yeah,
good matchup.
Yep.
I'm gonna get like 20% Rudy Gay now. If this goes well, it was my idea.
Yeah, so the best part of all this is going to be when it goes to shit and people blast you for how much Rudy Gay they have.
Yeah. Fucking projections said Rudy Gay is a top value. Oh, fucking tag Adam. 5,800 is a really nice price point if he plays 31 minutes. When they get blown out and he plays 22, I'm not going to like it.
Right.
All right, let's go to the Lakers because this is going to be a spot where people are keying in. Spurs defense really bad, and no Brandon Ingram tonight. So we'll start with LeBron. 11,000 on FanDuel, 10,800 on DraftKings. Yeah, I'm in. Like, I'm totally cool with it. He just absolutely put a beating on the Spurs.
Yeah, no, I loved him last slate. So last slate he was like $1,000 less than everyone,
Yeah.
and I was pretty adamant that he was the best play. Now it's obviously not as strong a take because he's 10-8, Davis is 11, Giannis is 11-1. So kind of like I mentioned before with Davis, I don't think that you necessarily have to take a huge stand on any of these guys. Like there's other price points and positions where you can be more confident that you're going to be correct a lot of the time. But yeah, I mean, I do like the spot for LeBron. San Antonio has been one of the most friendly teams in terms of allowing players to outperform their salaries because, especially on DraftKings, it seems like they're still discounting guys because San Antonio is good at based on any data from beyond this year. So it's just been a really, really favorable spot. But they suck defensively. They don't play fast, but that's like the only negative thing that you can say here. They're terrible in transition. They're terrible overall. So it's a great spot for LeBron.
I have no disagreements. I like LeBron. I got 20%. I'm cool with it. Whatever I get of LeBron, I'm happy about it.
Cool. Have you looked at his? I was just looking over the last month. I'm trying to get the sample a little bit bigger, but LeBron's okay. He comes down a little bit if you look at the whole season, but still 34.7% usage without Rondo or Ingram on the floor this season.
Yeah, he's gonna go for it. That's for sure. All right, next up on the list, Kyle Kuzma, 7,100 on FanDuel, 6,800 on DK. He's fine.
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball is fine. 5,700 on DK is probably pretty appealing. I'm sure Lofty will have like 25%.
Yeah, I'm sure me and Lofty will have a nice, fun conversation later where he loves Lonzo and I hate him, and I hate him because that's how it always goes.
So there's two guys we got to talk about the most. I think they're one of them is way more important on FanDuel. KCP 3,700 on FanDuel, 3,900 on DK. I don't enjoy playing KCP ever, but he makes for an okay punt because his minutes are likely to be up. So take a look there. What do you think? Are you okay with KCP tonight?
Yes. So one concern though, so obviously he played 28 minutes last game, and a lot of people are just gonna naturally look and be like, Ingram got hurt in the first quarter. KCP played 28 minutes. Josh Hart picked up 3 fouls in 2.5 minutes in the first quarter. He actually is the one that subbed in for Brandon Ingram. Picked up 3 fouls, so sat the rest of the half. Started the second half, picked up another foul 2 minutes in. So you got like no playing time from Josh Hart. He, I think, plays a lot of minutes here and probably knocks KCP back a bit.
Okay, I agree. He is the next guy up on the list. Jockey Josh Hart.
Yeah.
He's 17% expected ownership on FanDuel, which is oddly lower than I expected. 14% on DK. I got 40 of Hart. On FanDuel, I mean, this is a no-brainer for me. There's no downside to having a ton of Josh Hart.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, even at 3,600 on DraftKings, I think it's the difference in value prices is something that I think goes overlooked a lot. 3,600 is just a totally different ballpark than when you have someone at 44 or 4,500
It is.
in terms of what you need from them and also the likelihood that they get there. So I think that having Hart at 3,600 on DraftKings, yeah, you can't drop him if he sucks, but it's just a much bigger difference than if he were in like the low fours. I think than people tend to give it credit for.
Yeah. I'm gonna have an overwhelming amount of Josh Hart tonight.
Yeah, I mean, just like even if you just look at the average numbers, he's averaging about 3/4 of a fantasy point per minute, alongside Lonzo and James, without Ingram or Rondo on the floor. Obviously you would expect that to go up for whatever minutes he's playing without one or both of Lonzo and LeBron. But if you're going to get around 30 minutes here at 3/4 of a fantasy point per minute, and he's 3,600, even ignoring the fact that he's playing this god awful Spurs team, you've got a pretty nice play.
You do indeed. You want anything else from LA?
What are they doing with McGee? Yeah, 19 minutes last game for McGee. Not really.
Benjamin Sisko thinks I'm crazy for saying an overwhelming amount of Josh Hart.
Yeah, I don't. Lance Stevenson, I guess, should get some minutes, but probably not enough to matter.
Yeah, I've got him in for 15 right now.
Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, I think it's LeBron, Lonzo, Hart, and Kuzma as the guys that I'll end up playing.
It's FanDuel, everybody. You drop your lowest score. I'm locking in a guy that should play 25 plus minutes against arguably the worst defensive team on the slate. There's no downside anymore on FanDuel to plays like that. I don't need to spread my $3,600 player exposure across a bunch of people. I just want the one that has the best opportunity to succeed. I would have a lot less Josh Hart on DraftKings than I would on FanDuel, obviously.
Yeah, I would still have a good amount though.
Yeah, so would I, because it's a great play.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget, like Josh Hart, when he gets minutes, he can be productive. Like he can rebound, he can, do everything.
We talked about this a little bit. I think it was Lofty and I yesterday. It could have been you and I 2 days ago. The times that I want to have a lot of someone are the times where their minutes are changing dramatically, but their price is still where it was when it wasn't. And Josh Hart is in line to see significantly more opportunities today at the same price he was at prior to it. That is what constitutes someone being like a play that you want to have more of. His value, because of his salary, is so much higher than it normally is. Whoa, Embiid out.
What?
Embiid out today. Shit. Blow it up, baby. Woo! Fire up your Jonah Bolden. Fire up Amir Johnson.
So Drummond's about to score 112.
Drummond. How long is it going to take for Drummond to start tweeting, calling him a bitch?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
All right, here's what we're going to do, everybody. We're going to finish up this Spurs-Lakers game, which I think we just did. We'll knock out Suns Heat. We'll knock out Bucks Warriors. And then we could roll back and talk about Pistons Sixers and this impact.
Can we just replace the Suns and the Heat with Pistons Sixers Part 2? That would be enjoyable.
Well, like let's just take a look at it quickly.
Okay.
Suns 102.25 implied total. Heat 109.75. Well, we got to talk about the Heat, man, with two people out and shit.
I know. I just don't want to.
I started thinking about it, like, we could just run through this really quickly. We can't.
No, not at all. Like
Chad
the game
is
actually
having an aneurysm right now over this Embiid news. Oh boy, that is fun. I saw two people say Embiid out, and I was like, stupid Chad already saying ridiculous nonsense. Sure enough, I hopped to Twitter and rest. Joel Embiid is not playing tonight. This is from Serena Winters. Brett Brown says it's their responsibility to preserve players' health, and it was clear he was fatigued.
What a time for him to be fatigued.
Holy shit.
Can you imagine if this was flipped and Drummond was out tonight?
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is amazing. Marcus Terry says, I'm taking Muscala. That seems terrifying.
I think that's correct.
It's probably correct. It's also terrifying because Drummond will eat his shit.
Yeah. Muscala's going to get a ton of whooping looks.
Oh, yeah. Look, I'm not saying that I don't think Muscala is a good play, but it's also not out of the realm of possibility that Drummond like really bodies him up quickly and puts him on the bench, and we're seeing a lot of Amir Johnson.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're going to get there for sure. I'm shocked. He must be like legit. Okay, so do you think Embiid is okay with this decision?
No. We're going to see Drummond on Twitter talking shit to Embiid, and we're going to see Embiid on Twitter talking shit about the Sixers probably.
In a way, I want to watch this game even more to see Embiid on the bench, like chirping and shit.
Yeah. No, like I would love to have like video of whoever told it, walking in and telling Embiid he's not playing tonight.
Okay, let's get through this Suns Heat game. So on the Suns side, it's going to be really hard to justify any very specific play. DeAndre Ayton 6,700 on FanDuel, 6,600 on DK. I can't imagine it, but on FanDuel, I guess it's worth a shot if you're playing 150. I'm going to go back to the Josh Jackson well and hate myself for it. Not with any sort of volume. And then maybe a little bit of Eliakobo at 4,100. I don't trust anything on this team.
No, I mean, that's where I'm at. If you want to sprinkle guys in, then fine. But in terms of being confident, there's plays at every position that I think succeed more often. Obviously ownership on those guys will be higher for that reason. But, you have Eliakobo at 36 or 3,800. Sure, he can certainly pay that off. Josh Hart's cheaper. I would play Josh Hart in cash games for sure. If there's a big ownership discrepancy, then, I would consider getting some Okobo pivots in there. But Hart, I think, is just the better play at that price point. Josh Jackson, I think, is fine. As much as you can trust anyone on this team, he's probably who I trust the most.
Mm-hmm.
But still, this is not the side of the game that I find particularly appealing.
Nope. Let's go to that side of the game. So, for Miami, Goran Dragic is back. We have no idea how many minutes he's going to be playing tonight. I have him in for 27 right now. Who knows? Wayne Ellington is out. Hassan Whiteside is out. Both of them for the birth of their first daughters, I believe. Or at least first children. I don't know how I'm putting a gender on it. Gender's fluid anyway, so it doesn't matter. So we've got two guys out. Let's start talking about it. Josh Richardson, 7,100 on FanDuel, 6,700 on DK. I think it's pretty easy to say that he is not super interesting here.
Correct.
Like he's fine, but
yeah,
he's not the biggest benefactor of all of the things that are happening.
Right. He already plays a ton of minutes, so you're getting some more minutes for him, and the price tag has come down a bit, which is nice. But Dragic being back also means less ball handling responsibility for Richardson.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes away a little bit. He's a perfectly fine play. Like, I think that I will have him.
Yeah.
But it's not like a play that I love. I also think he probably is a good cash play just because of the minutes he's going to play.
Okay. Dwayne Wade, 5,600 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DK. I have a little bit of interest in Wade here. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, he's okay.
I've got him in for 27 minutes right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at 24 right now, but I think that I agree with yours.
Okay. I can get talked into a little bit of Dragic, but honestly, we don't know anything until we hear about whether he's starting or if there's a minutes limit or anything. But he's only 5,800 on FanDuel, and I kind of like that price point.
Revenge game.
Holy shit, yeah.
Actual revenge game.
Yeah. That one's actually true. And by all accounts, from what I understand, like, he would carry that around.
Yeah. I'm pulling it up, and I think it's actually been a thing where, like, we talk about it, but then it happens too. Yeah, I mean, he hates this team.
You're still playing Wade with everyone back versus Phoenix. Come on, man. Everyone's not back. The exact opposite of everyone being back.
Yeah, he's, I don't know, mixed results against Phoenix. Not that I was actually going to factor that in, but some good games, some bad games against Phoenix.
I'm not saying that Dwayne Wade is going to be in like the $100 single entry lineup or anything like that, but to just exclude him completely would be weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have him as a particularly good play, but I don't think that anything going on in Miami makes him worse.
Right. And he's playing Phoenix.
Yeah.
Who's stopping him here? D'Anthony Melton going to body him? Okay, so let's start here. Bam Adebayo, 5,500 on FanDuel, $4,200 on DraftKings. He's projected for 36% ownership, which is the chalk play of the day. And yeah, it should be.
Yeah, it's probably too low.
Yeah.
Like, not saying that the projection's too low. I'm saying that he should be owned higher than that.
Yeah. There's really no reason to avoid Bam Adebayo here.
Especially because he's a power forward.
Yeah. The $5,500 price point on FanDuel is a little bit less appealing. He's also a power forward on FanDuel. So I don't see him as anything like just unbelievable play. We have him projected for 16% ownership on FanDuel. I think that's pretty reasonable, and it's probably where I'll be. Yeah,
I mean, the price tag certainly is more fair, but this is still a spot where Bam should just go absolutely apeshit here.
Absolutely. I like it. I don't want to try to downplay it. DraftKings is the spot where he is just incredible. What else we got? Kelly Olynyk, 5,100 on FanDuel, 4K on DK. Fire up your Kelly Olynyk as well, in my opinion. He's been getting minutes again. he should be in line to at least continue to get all of those minutes with Whiteside out. Makes it a little bit easier.
It should be more productive minutes too, because most of his time this year has been coming at the 4. You've had Whiteside and Adebayo playing center, and then you've had Kelly playing alongside them. Now he should be getting back, I would assume, backup center minutes in addition to whatever he plays at the 4.
Would you rather play Bam Adebayo at 5,500 on FanDuel or Kelly Olynyk at 51?
Bam Adebayo, no question.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Better rebounder, going to be playing, I think, 30 plus minutes in a really, really appealing spot. I think.
Oh, so okay. So let me pause you there, just because this matters. I don't have him at 30 plus minutes or close to that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he plays like 30 to 32.
Let's have this discussion, I guess. Yeah, I have him in for 24.
So you have him and Kelly both playing 24 at center?
Basically, yeah.
So then do you have Kelly playing any at the 4?
Not really.
Okay.
I think James Johnson pretty much holds serve. We see more Justice Winslow, 32 minutes in his last 2 games. I think that's the spot where I see the minute jump happen more than anything else.
Yeah, but so then who's taking like Ellington's minutes?
I've got Dwayne Wade at 27, which helps. I think Tyler Johnson's going to have to play more than the 13 that he got in his first game back. I think that now is a time where we see a little bit of minutes to Derek Jones.
Yeah, those are all fair. It's like Bam's just been so good. Like, I'm gonna try and pull up, see how what he played last year when Whiteside was out. Because have we had Whiteside miss a game this year? I think we have.
I don't know. Not in the last month. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to bring Bam up to 26 for right now. Bring Derek Jones back down to... So what do you have for Kelly Olynyk's minutes?
I think 26. Do we... okay, so Bam started against Detroit on November 5th. Played 29 minutes.
Okay. Wade won't even play 20 minutes tonight. It's a 30 to 40 point blowout. Okay, I can't... I can't even talk about stuff like that. Kelly Olynyk playing 28 and 29 in the last 2 games. Bam 23 and 14. Like, I know that I don't mean to point that out like I am, but I feel like Olynyk is the more likely scenario of getting bigger minutes.
But Bam plays center. Olynyk plays the 4. Like, Bam's minutes are entirely dependent on Hassan Whiteside.
Is that a thing against Phoenix?
Wait, what?
Like,
no. But no, I'm saying like
I know what you're saying. Like, I know what you mean.
That's why Olynyk's getting more minutes.
Right.
Like, he's still playing 0 minutes at the 5.
Oh boy.
In the game, so against Detroit, which is the only game that we have without Whiteside this season. All right, so it went to overtime. He played 29 minutes. I'm trying to see if there were fouls or anything. Bam got 2 fouls in the first quarter, so he lost probably some playing time there. Picked up a third at the end of the second, but then he was fine. So probably lost a couple of minutes, but then made it up in overtime. Kelly played 24 minutes. Kelly played every minute at center that Bam did not play. He didn't play at the 4 at all.
That's weird. If I remember correct, somebody tweeted this yesterday, maybe 2 days ago. It might have been Zach Lowe, or at least piggybacking off of Lowe. Olynyk and Bam together has been really good from a plus-minus perspective.
That makes sense.
But
yeah,
they don't do it nearly as much as you would want them to.
Yeah, they've been doing it more lately.
Okay, so let's go over this then. What do you have for Justice Winslow's minutes?
32. Let me double check. And I mean, I'm still tweaking these, but right now I have, yeah.
Well, I mean, this is the relevant discussion. If these guys are, if we're separated by 6 minutes or something on someone, we're having a very different discussion.
Yeah. So I'll try and like hash it out. So like we should want So I think when we're trying to project it, since they have been effective next to each other, and we've been seeing them play alongside each other a lot lately, or more lately, we should probably be comfortable giving Kelly minutes at the 4, which lets us give Bam more minutes, and then you give Kelly backup minutes at the 5, and then some minutes at the 4. So, like for example, instead of in that last game where we said basically that Bam played 24 and Kelly played 24, now you can give Bam 30, Kelly 18 at the 4 or at the 5, and then give Kelly another 6 or something, which helps both of
I
them.
will say this much. Everything that we are talking about is just making me like Kelly Olynyk more than Bam Adebayo, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I like Bam as a player so much more than Kelly. Like as a fantasy player.
I hear you. God, I cannot believe Embiid is out. I can't wait to get to this.
All right, like James Johnson, I think plays a huge role in this too. Like, why is he only playing 20 minutes a night?
Because I think he's fat and out of shape.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't change his minutes. I've still got him at 20.
Okay, so that makes a big difference then.
Look, I mean, if we find out that James Johnson is going to play like 26 minutes tonight, that's the piece that I want the most, actually.
Oh yeah.
But I don't. There's nothing. 20, 19, 19, 19, 19 in the last 5. Like, I'm just at a point where it would shock me if he's the one that just gets this crazy boost. Like, he played 27 in the game before that 5-game stretch that I just read off, but it doesn't appear that they just want to give him extra minutes.
Yeah, and there's been at least one game where he was actually playing well in that third quarter stint, and he still never came back.
Yeah, so if I'm wrong there, I'm wrong. I just have a hard time getting to him in that way. I mean, I think we're good now. With that readjustment, like, I really don't have to give Derek Jones anything any longer.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, there are certainly ways that this can go wrong, but I think the best, like, estimate... So, 20... Who am I missing here? Because I think I might actually... Oh, Richardson. That seems like a big one.
What do you have Tyler Johnson for?
At the moment, I just threw him in for 20.
Yeah,
but
same exact projection then.
All right, so... 20. But now I have too many minutes. So if I knock... Yeah, I don't know. It's still a mess. Yeah,
Jacob Treadway says, I don't think there's much reason for Spo to play them next to each other. The reason for him to play them next to each other is that they've been a significantly positive plus-minus team when they do that.
Right.
That's the reason. It's worked.
Right. And Spo, I think, is a coach that will kind of do what he wants to do, and instead of reacting to what Phoenix runs out there.
Yeah. I don't get the sense that Spo's super concerned about whatever Phoenix is running out today. Just going out on a limb.
Yeah. I mean, just looking back at their most recent game against Orlando, you had in the first half, Bam and Kelly played around 9 minutes next to each other. In the second half, I mean, the game ended up being an Orlando blowout, but they played the final 15 minutes of the game alongside each other.
I think we've got this locked in now.
I'm still kind of to me, I'm having trouble figuring out what to do with the Tyler Johnson minutes, because I need to get Josh Richardson his, and right now I only have Richardson with 32 minutes. But
I've got him at 35 right now.
He definitely plays more than 32 minutes. But I think I can just shave minutes off of... I had Magruder at 32. Maybe shave a couple of those minutes, shave a couple from Tyler Johnson.
Yeah. I only have Magruder at 27, if that helps you.
Okay, yeah. Because basically what I was trying to do was get Bam to 30 and still have Kelly at 26.
Olynyk on, Bam on. Let's see what their plus minus is. In 398 possessions, this is fucking insane. 398 possessions this year with Olynyk and Bam on together. They are plus 16.8 net rating, the 99th percentile, a 115.6 offensive rating, and a 98.8 defensive rating. Yeah, they have been amazing when these guys play together. Number one lineup in this group: Dwayne Wade, Rodney Magruder, Justice Winslow, Kelly Olynyk, Bam. They're playing at a plus 30.6 over 100 possessions. I mean, granted, that's like 50 minutes, but they have been fantastic with these two guys playing together. That's why you play them together, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, they both can pass.
Yeah.
Olynyk can shoot. So it's not like, you're playing two bigs next to each other, but it's not like you're playing two guys that are like clogging the paint and stopping the offense.
Yeah. Look, I like Adebayo now a lot more than I did before, although I still liked him. They are still phenomenal plays on DraftKings, even more so now to me than they were before. I liked them both on FanDuel. Their prices are way, way better on DK, and I don't want anybody to miss out on that. They're not the same plays on opposite sites. They're pretty dramatically different.
Yeah.
However, I like them both. I'm playing them both, and I think that I prefer. Okay, this is the easy way for me to say it. I prefer the one that gets the least amount of ownership. If it's a dramatic difference. I don't mean like if it's 16 and 15 that I like Olynyk, but right now we had it at 16 Adebayo and 7 Olynyk. I would just rather have Olynyk.
Yeah, I'd take Bam.
And we're splitting hairs here. It's the answers play both.
Yeah.
But
specifically play Bam.
But specifically play Kelly Olynyk. We're just disagreeing on purpose so that one of us can be right. This is what we do here.
Yeah.
Okay, do we want any more on this Miami game?
I mean, so not to get lost in that whole conversation, but because we mentioned it, but it was kind of in the context of talking about Bam and Kelly. Justice Winslow should play around 30 minutes here.
Yeah.
And obviously a good spot. So I think he's fine, especially with small forward eligibility.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all I have to add.
I agree. Fun game. Making chicken salad out of chicken shit or something. Uh-oh, am I losing you? Uh-oh, did I lose you? Is it me?
Like
you
broke up. I couldn't hear
you. Yeah, I thought I lost you completely. I think we're back in business.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. I was like, shit, I lost him.
Nah.
Way too much time on a guaranteed blowout. I don't know what to. These people that don't enjoy free stuff is really a bummer to me.
Well, I mean, even if it blows out, how does that make talking about Bam Adebayo and Kelly Olynyk irrelevant to the slate?
I have no idea. This is a strategy show, man. We break these things down. We go game by game 3 separate times throughout the day in 3 separate shows. And if you break from that structure or try to do anything more in depth, you just get roasted for it. Bigger than that, man. It's a strategy show. If you want really quick game by game content that sucks, go to Roto Grinders. God. I mean, I would have this discussion if we weren't broadcasting, because it's like super important to hash that stuff out. Understanding where the minutes are going to go with Hassan Whiteside and Wayne Ellington out is the key tenet of this game.
Yeah, no, that conversation was not like for show. It wasn't. I couldn't give a shit if people were even watching that.
Yeah, exactly. I want to have that discussion because I want to land on that right answer for myself. Right.
That's exactly what I would have been doing if I weren't on this show. And as soon as the show ends, I'm going to go back and do it more to make sure that I'm comfortable with what I'm getting.
Exactly. Let's finish this off. Well, let's finish off the first round of going through these games, and then we'll go back to Philly. Milwaukee Bucks hosting the Golden State Warriors in the late night hammer in what is just an absolutely fun game. Bucks play the Warriors really well, so I'm anxious for this. 120.
We have to talk about other things when you blow up.
Kudos. 120.5 implied total for the Bucks. 119.5 for the Warriors. I assume we're still not seeing Draymond Green. I think he's going to be looking to come back on like Monday or something. So start with Milwaukee. 12-2 for Giannis on FanDuel. 11-1 for Giannis on DraftKings. I'm over the field on Giannis right now, and I think that he looks a little bit better on DK. This feels like a really good spot for Giannis. What say you?
Yeah, I love it for Giannis. I've mentioned a couple of times that I think it's splitting hairs on DraftKings between Giannis, Westbrook, LeBron, and Davis, just because they're all priced basically the same. But I do have Giannis as the best play there. I have him projected for the most points on the slate, which probably doesn't surprise anyone. But yeah, it's a really appealing game. Draymond being out helps. Steph being back helps. It makes Golden State play faster, and that certainly plays into Giannis's favor. So, yeah, I love Giannis here. The price tag on DraftKings, I think, is just criminally low.
11-1 is nuts. I got 33% of them on my most recent crunch. That's obviously going to wiggle a little bit now that I don't have any exposure going to Embiid.
Yeah, like if I'm playing like one, not factoring in ownership, because I think that it probably ends up being pretty similar. But if I had like gun to my head, if I had to choose one of these guys that are separated by like $600 on DraftKings, I would go Giannis 1, LeBron 2, and then it would be flip a coin between Davis and Westbrook.
Okay. Russ would be my 2 there, but I do have Giannis as my highest scoring player on DraftKings. And I don't get to this number very often. I have Giannis at 60.1. I rarely have guys cross that 60-point threshold.
Yeah, I have him at 64.1, but I have guys get there more frequently.
Yeah. Eric Bledsoe, 7,700 on FanDuel, 7,200 on DK. I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
it's not like a jam it in spot, but whatever I get of Bledsoe, I'm totally cool with it here.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Middleton was just a disciplinary thing,
right? We have no idea. It was just personal.
Okay.
It is not. Apparently, it has nothing to do with like him getting yelled at the game before that.
Okay, but he's good to go today.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Much like we didn't know that he wasn't going to be good to go
right
Wednesday night. Like, I'm assuming he's in. I have read nothing to say that he shouldn't be in. There is no whispers of any type of injury. He just didn't play. I don't know what else to do. But for right now, there's no real way to do anything other than project him in. At which point I say, looks pretty good on DK.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean Middleton and Bledsoe, both. If whatever I get. But I do like that Middleton's $500 less expensive than Bledsoe. Middleton certainly has a defensive purpose in this game, which means that maybe we see a few more minutes out of him. So I like him quite a bit.
Okay. Anybody else here? I could get a lot of Brook Lopez, but I want to nerf that now.
Right. I mean, if whatever Brook I get is fine. Same with Brogdon. Like he should play 30 plus minutes in a super appealing game. But obviously Giannis is the priority here. Middleton, if he's in at 6,700, then Bledsoe, then the other guys.
Let's talk about Golden State. Pace up spot for the Warriors, which I like. Kevin Durant, 10-6 on FanDuel, 10-3 on DK. Is this a Durant game?
I was about to say, I've been comparing all these guys at the top, and the fact that I forgot Durant was even on this slate probably says something about where his ownership's going to end up.
Yeah, 13% on FanDuel right now, 7 on DraftKings. That feels like the spot where you can go to 20 and change in exposure and really put a hurting on this slate if it breaks right.
Yeah, and
that's a really good spot for them outside of the fact that the Bucks are just good on defense because the pace is really interesting.
Yeah, and Curry being back obviously lowers Durant's median projection, but he can still just go out there and light the world on fire any given night.
Yeah, this feels like the type of spot where like he wants to do that too. I don't, not that I get into that sort of narrative stuff, but I like Durant here. I'm double the field right now. I hope that continues. I really like this game. I like having parts of it as the hammer spot. Not that changes anything. I don't care when the games happen, but it always makes me feel at least a little bit better that I could have Giannis and Durant go toe-to-toe and have 50% of them combined. Yeah,
I wish Durant was playing more minutes without Curry.
Me too. I'm sure he does too.
Yeah, it's actually just kind of weird that he's not. But whatever.
What do you want to do with Curry? Take what you get?
Yep.
Yeah. I have 8% right now. It's fine. 9,900 is great. He has a ceiling always like that.
Right. Yeah, the ceiling's there. It's just that you're paying for that ceiling. Whereas, and talking more so about DraftKings, where there are a lot of underpriced guys, and even that upper tier is underpriced. As we've talked about, you're paying for Curry's ceiling when you pay $10,000. You're paying for Giannis's average game when you pay 11,000.
I don't know where someone. Get ready for this one. You ready?
Yeah.
Draymond Green questionable.
Excellent. I kind of hope he plays just because it makes it less likely that Milwaukee just shits on him.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything for me for Durant, for my Durant love.
Nah. No, because I mean, Durant, you're still, and really the same for Curry, you're still just hoping that they go out there and they're the one to get hot, and Draymond's not going to change that.
And Bagley questionable too. Ooh,
Clay's price thing.
Marvin Williams questionable as well.
Cool.
Look, I like Durant the most out of this game. If I get any Curry or Clay, I'm cool with it. What's Draymond's price?
7 on DraftKings.
Put him in for a minute here just so he pops up on my screen. 7,500 on FanDuel, 7K on DK. If you know he's playing, it's not crazy.
Yeah, it's not crazy. I still wouldn't have him as like a priority.
No, not at all. Yeah, this one's just Durant for me. I don't want anybody from the bottom half of the Warriors.
No, I mean we're basically getting back to, the Warriors that it used to be, where they all play. I do think that if Green's out, like Kevon Looney's still okay, but yeah. I would just rather play Bam Adebayo.
All right, let's walk through this Philly shit.
Yep.
For those that are just joining us at the hour and 56-minute mark, Joel Embiid is out. Yeah, immediately after this, by the way, quick pluggy plug. Hit the like button. If you like and then comment on this video after it is completed, you'll be entered into a giveaway, potentially win some goodies from us in this lovely holiday season. But Awesemo Odds coming up next with Ben Raza and Emac. Did a show last week. They're going to do it again, taking a look at what I would imagine to be some college basketball and NFL betting lines. Dipping our toe into the betting water. So check that out after this. All right, we got to take Embiid out. Kablamo. Who are the biggest benefactors? Would you say Muscala to like low 30s?
Yeah, I'm trying to. When has Embiid missed this year, and when? Muscala has
only
3
missed
starts.
Like one game. He basically played constantly.
That's what I thought. Muscala's started 2 games this season. He played 37 minutes against Charlotte and 28 against Memphis, but I'm not sure.
I mean, Amir Johnson's playing 15 minutes at the minimum just by default, right?
Yeah.
Or Amir Johnson or Jonah Bolden. Like,
Jonah Bolden, right.
Someone has to play minutes that you don't really care about.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so neither of these games were without Embiid.
I mean, is it just, Muscala to 32 minutes, Amir Johnson to 16, and there's your center?
So Johnson's been DNPing. So that's helpful from mapping out the rotation standpoint, because those are 16 minutes that you're just directly replacing.
Just the most recent game.
It had been for...
He's only missed 2 games in the last month.
A lot of it's been like last couple minutes of the game, though. Like when Chandler's
15, 9, 14, 12. Like he's been, every game is 10 minutes. You said Amir Johnson, right?
Yeah. Their normal rotation lately, I thought, had been when Chandler's been healthy, had been Muscala backing up the 5.
He didn't play on the 25th or the 5th, but he played 10, 15, 9, 14, and 12 in his last 5 games.
Huh.
That he's been on the floor. So, like, at the very least, like, he was playing a rotation plus.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, wait, so, of course, I pull up the game that Wilson Chandler missed.
I mean, I don't really see a path around it just being Muscala and Amir Johnson unless we throw additional minutes at Jonah Bolden, but I don't really like, that's not what I care about.
So like,
I'm not playing Amir Johnson in any scenario tonight unless we find out he's playing 25 minutes.
So like the Philadelphia-Washington game, he played 14.5 minutes. He played 0 minutes until a blowout run.
Okay.
But so I mean, the only reason it matters is that like if Amir Johnson were regularly playing minutes, then you have to figure out like it's only so many additional minutes.
His minutes going then? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, but if we give Amir 16 minutes, that basically is 16 of the 36 minutes that we need to cover.
Unrelated, Ish Smith out 2 weeks with a groin tear.
All right, cool.
I mean, mildly related, same game, I guess. But.
Yeah. All right, so I guess start. What if we start with like Muscala 32 at center and Amir 16, but then you need to replace Muscala minutes because he was also playing back up to Chandler. So give Chandler like 36.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, give him 34, I guess. I don't know. He probably plays like 34 to 36.
I mean, that we're almost done. Landry Shamet probably picks up or Furkan Korkmaz rather probably picks up a couple extra minutes, and then we're done.
Right, it's probably either Korkmaz or Shamet that picks up minutes, or McConnell. It depends if they would rather go with Korkmaz or with Simmons getting more time at the 4. Like when Chandler was out, we saw Simmons play at the 4.
Yeah. It strikes me as more likely to be Korkmaz.
Yeah. I think from a DFS impact standpoint, like we're not playing Korkmaz or Shamet anyway.
Yeah.
But if Simmons were to play the 4, you get an uptick in rebounding, but that's probably not a huge difference. So I think the big like actionable thing is that Mike Muscala should play a ton of minutes here. And I agree with you that it's risky in terms of fouls, but it's also a spot that he actually should have a lot of success as far as getting wide open looks.
Oh yeah. And these are two different plays based on the site. Like Muscala for 4,200 on FanDuel as a center. I clearly like him. I'm not going to like him a lot because there's 10 other centers. Like you really need Muscala to have like a 10x game for you to really be upset that you don't have him. If Mike Muscala goes for 32 fantasy points, you're not like super bummed about it.
This is why the whole people talk about, X multipliers, and it's just stupid.
Yeah.
Like if you're not using a constant to derive what you're looking for in tournaments, which essentially makes it so that you're not punishing the expensive guys.
Right.
Because like 60 raw points is better than 22 raw points. I don't care what your salary is.
Agreed.
People using like just X multipliers, it makes no sense. And it's why like you're just kind of cheating yourself if you're gonna go back and look and say like, oh, Mike Muscala hit 6x, he was a good play.
Right. It wasn't. Yeah, you're probably not winning anything then.
Right.
It makes you have to be very specifically right on your other 8 spots.
Yep.
Now DK on the other hand, 3,800 for Muscala. Does he have power forward?
Yeah.
I mean, what's his ownership now? 40. Would you rather play Mike Muscala or Bam Adebayo tonight?
Bam, but where I think it gets interesting is Muscala and Olynyk.
Yeah, well, I don't.
Because I mean, so if we get news that Muscala is starting, which I expect he will,
yeah,
and Kelly's not going to start, I wouldn't expect. That just always makes it so people just plug in the starter.
Yeah,
and so that's where like I very much was Bam over Kelly regardless. But if you tell me that Muscala is a lot higher owned than Kelly, then I'll gladly play Kelly.
Okay, I like that reasoning too. I mean, this is another situation that, I kind of touched on before where when guys' opportunities change, this is the time where I don't mind following the chalk. And Mike Muscala for 3,800 on DK is following the chalk. And I'm totally cool with it.
Yeah.
Really difficult for it to hurt you.
Yeah. And I mean, we just talked about, Kelly versus Muscala. I think you also can pretty reasonably play like all 3 of those guys and then just have all the money in the world for other positions.
Yep.
And also, I kind of want to go back to that Landry Shamet. I had kind of a throwaway comment that he didn't matter. I think that at 3,100, there's actually a path for him to be viable here, purely as like a 150 lineup, plug-in guy at low ownership.
You only need 2% of it.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I mean, he certainly can, throw up like 24 points for you here, depending on how the rotation breaks out.
I think the other guy we really need to talk about then is Wilson Chandler, 3,700 on DK. Would you rather play Wilson Chandler or Mike Muscala?
Mike Muscala.
Okay, I agree. Just
a better offensive player.
I agree.
And I mean, it didn't really work out because of the blowout, but went pretty in depth on why I liked Brook Lopez against Andre Drummond the other day. It's the same thing for Muscala.
Yeah. Does this change how does this change your outlook for Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler?
That's what I am trying to figure out now.
Because I think we're not going to be able to glean a lot of information out of this.
Actually, I think we probably can, because the rotation they've been running since Embiid or since Butler came over, it's been a lot of Simmons and Butler together, even when Embiid's off. So I think maybe we have 120 minutes of Simmons alongside Butler without Embiid. Butler has a 33.5% usage rate and has averaged 1.3 fantasy points per minute. Simmons keeps being Ben Simmons. Simmons is at 1.1 fantasy points per minute. %, usage rate.
Who do you prefer?
Between Butler and Simmons?
Yeah.
Butler.
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree.
JJ Redick gets really interesting when Embiid doesn't play as well. We only have 24 minutes of Redick alongside Butler and Simmons without Embiid, but 28% usage there. But if you ignore Jimmy Butler just to get a bigger sample size, so we have Ben Simmons on and Joel Embiid off, we now have 103 minutes of JJ Redick, 26% usage rate. So I think you get some more offensive opportunities for Redick as well.
You're going to get a lot more of these takes throughout the day when Adam comes back with Laffy for the deeper dive, and then myself and Eddie Fear take you all the way up until lock. I'll be better about getting us game by game tonight, guys. There's 10-game slate. We'll have some structure. Nobody liked the free form 3-gamer for last night. Let's talk a quick Thrive Fantasy. Let's take a look at some props here for tonight, and then we'll get out of here. Give way to Ben and EMAC. First one up on the list. There's a little shading to the under 105 points. Over under 23.5 total points for Joel Embiid. I got the under.
Yeah. I feel pretty confident in that one.
Yeah, me too. Let's start with this one. Kyle Lowry.
Under.
Even action. Points plus assists.
I don't even know what the number is, but
I'm getting there.
I just pulled it up now.
Points plus assist, 24.5.
It's actually lower than I thought it was going to be. But
it's also higher than what I have it at. I got him at 23.9, so give me the under.
I had like a smudge on my laptop. I thought I had Lowry projected for 18.9 real points. It's a 3. Yeah, so 13.9 plus 8.2 would give me the under, with it being 100 points either way.
Okay. Here's another fun one. De'Aaron Fox. 95 points for the over. Points plus rebounds plus assists. 28.5.
Points plus rebounds plus assists, 28.5.
Yep.
I have points plus assists at 28.5.
Well, it looks like you're going over. I have it at 27.4 for the whole total, so I'm actually going to go under and take those points.
Yeah, I'm happy with my projections on him too, so yeah, I'll take the over.
Alrighty. Giannis Antetokounmpo. 27.5 real points.
In the first half?
You get even action. I've got him at 30.
I have him at 29.8.
Yeah. Give me that over on Giannis. You got anything that stand out to you?
Nico. That obviously depends on how many minutes he plays.
24.5 points plus rebounds. Even
But
action.
I mean, it's just a spot where I think you can get an edge by paying attention to news.
I have him at 23.7. He's at 24.5. These lines look good. Apparently, so does my model. Also makes me feel good.
Yeah.
This really does work as like a really nice sense check.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I have Miro at 30 minutes, what was it, 24.5?
Yeah.
Points plus rebounds?
Yeah.
I have him at, what's 15.5 plus 8.5, 24?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last one. Do you have one that really stands out for you?
No.
Nikola Jokic. Even action on both sides. Assists, 6.5.
I'm at 7.4.
I have him at 6.9. There was a nice there for you.
I was not even listening.
We're fine. I got the over on my boy. The best offensive center on this slate tonight.
Yeah, I got the over.
Alrighty. Let's Thrive Fantasy. Join up, guys. bit.ly/ThriveStrat. Check out these props. Get yourself an idea of what someone can put up from a fantasy perspective as well. These two things go hand in hand. I think that it will help you all become better DFS players from the traditional sense by being able to sort of plot out what you think someone will do in a points standpoint or points plus rebounds assists. Those are the ones that I really like to look at. So helps me out a lot. Make sure that I'm calibrated correctly. Adam and I are big fans of this. Whew. We went 2-11, 10-game slate. Didn't really see all that news coming. We had a lot to talk about.
It's weird. It's weird when big news breaks during this show.
I'm happy. It was fun.
Yeah.
Deep dive coming up from Laffy early this afternoon. He should be really thrilled.
I'm sure he's having a great time right now.
Yeah. Oh God, I feel bad for him. Then we've got Osimo odds coming up immediately after this one, so check it out. And then we'll have from A to B. Ben and Andrew will be on talking last night's NFL game and this weekend's NFL slate, and then deeper dive and live before lock from 4:45 until 7. It's a lot of content, guys. Buckle up. It's going to be a big one tonight. Adam, anything else?
No, I think you got all of it.
Cool. We're out of here. Later, everybody.